Hello, I'm Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney, and our personality today is Vladimir Ze'ev Jabotinsky, born in 1880 and died in 1940. Vladimir Ze'ev Jabotinsky was the creator of revisionist Zionism, which is now the ideological ancestor of Likud and one of the most important forces in contemporary Zionism and the State of Israel. He was born in Odessa in 1880. His father died when the young Vladimir was just 6 years old. He became both a journalist and a fervent Zionist, and before the First World War from 1908 he was sent by the Zionist organization to Turkey to represent its interests in the Ottoman Empire, which of course then controlled the land of Israel, Palestine, as it then was. As a young man in Odessa, he'd already organized self-defense units to protect the Jews against attacks, and this very muscular version of Zionism became a key feature of his approach. From 1904, when Herzl died, Jabotinsky became the undoubted leader of the right wing of Zionism. He had an interesting combination of liberal and nationalistic views. He was a liberal in the sense he believed in the free market, he believed in a free press, but he also believed in a very wide territorial expanse for the land of Israel to be given to the Jews as a homeland. But he also saw there was a need for reconciliation with the Arab population, and for example he wanted to have a situation in which there was always a Jewish prime minister and a non-Jewish Arab deputy prime minister of any Jewish state. In the First World War he threw himself into the Allied cause and became the originator of the Zeev Corps, which served with distinction in Gallipoli. He was awarded the MBE for his services to the empire, and of course the Zeev Corps essentially became the founder of the Jewish Legion, the first time a Jewish armed force existed since the time of the Second Jewish Commonwealth. After the First World War, he went back to the land of Israel, to Palestine, and there he became the magnet for all those interested in a revisionist, more right-wing Zionist approach that we would get from Ben Gurion or Chaim Weizmann. He did speaking tours all over the world. It was said that he once addressed a meeting in Eastern Europe. Very few people came, but one of those was Menachem Begin, who later became his closest follower and a prime minister of the State of Israel, which goes to show it doesn't matter how many people turn up if you get one or two people of real importance and quality. He was jailed by the British for his attempts to remove them from the land of Israel during the period between the two world wars when the British had the mandate over Palestine. He was on a tour of South Africa when he was refused re-entry into the land of Israel by the British and was then in exile really for the rest of his life. In 1939, after the British published their white paper which would heavily restrict Jewish immigration into Palestine, he tried to organise an armed revolt against the British, which was called off when the Second World War broke out, when again he threw himself behind the anti-Nazi forces. He was on a political tour in 1940 when he had a heart attack and died at the young age of 60, but through Cheirut, the party which looked to him as their inspiration, and then Likud, he has become one of the great founders of the State of Israel, even though he never lived to see it established and during his life was on the periphery of its political activities. He was a great ideologue, a man of somewhat of contradictions, but above all of a great complexity and part of the rich tapestry of early 20th century Zionism. Thanks for joining.